Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Monday, the 26th day of February, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Breaking news. It's not all that momentous, but apparently the Democratic Party in the state of California has finally turned their back on Dianne Feinstein because, of all things, she's not liberal enough. That's pretty scary, isn't it? 84-year-old Dianne Feinstein. Maybe her tenure is finally finished in the U.S. Senate. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to get your dental work up to date. In the event of a long-term crisis, getting access to modern dentistry will be a challenge, to say the least. Having everything up to date right now should give you some peace of mind, knowing that at least going into the long-term crisis, you've done as much as you can. Toothaches are an issue, obviously, but an abscess tooth can kill you. It can lead to blood poisoning and actually kill you. So get that dental work all caught up. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Jimmy Gensling. Jimmy is a proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. And we're looking forward to our firearms tip of the week because this is Firearms Monday. Good morning, Jimmy.
First off, to everyone, I'd like to apologize. Last Monday, my body just shut down and it did not want to get up. So I'm here today, and the weather is good and the sun is shining. But firearms tip of the week, this time around, we had a gun show this weekend in Las Cruces, and talking with several people and everything. And conversation came up several times when we were talking about training. And one of my favorite subjects in training is unorthodox shooting techniques. Practice shooting laying on your back. Practice shooting when you've got multiple targets. Practice shooting when one of the targets has a hostage. But in all of these, and this was from one of our customers over the weekend, him and his son, whenever they go out to practice and everything, they'll do their regular handgun practice, their paper punching and stuff like that, just to make sure they're still doing good. But he says what they'll do is they will run 25 yards out and 25 yards back and then commence their whatever training deal they're going to do. Get the blood going, get the heart racing and everything else. And we were talking with him, and he says, it is amazing how for 30 minutes you've stood there punching paper and getting nice groups, and you run 25 out and 25 back and go through an exercise, and you fall apart. And we had a real good laugh on that and everything. But ladies and gentlemen, do that. When you are practicing your drills and unorthodox shooting position, shooting under things. He also had a good one. He has an old end table that the legs screw on and screw off. And they take that to the range and use it for shooting under and over in exercises, which I thought was an interesting repurposing of an old piece of furniture. But get the heart rate up and everything, ladies and gentlemen, when you're getting ready to do your last bits and everything, and then practice like that. Just see how steady you can be, and then work on it. That's where your breath control and your shooting at the bottom of your respiratory pause will really pay off, especially when that heart's just thumping.
Well,
that's our firearms tip of the week.
Well, let me add to it a little Green Beret training part of this. If there's two more people doing this exercise, it can become competition with a minimum standard, and a minimum standard to be successful is going to vary, but whatever that choice is, minimum standard. And anybody who does not meet the minimum standard after running 25 out, 25 back, shooting at the designated target in the proper manner, the one who doesn't complete it in the proper manner and meet the minimum standard has to eat a raw egg. Oh yeah, no, that would definitely be an incentive. Incentive.
But for me, it would.
Yes.
Myself, back when I was in high school and everything, it was a big glass of Ovaltine with 2 raw eggs whipped up in it in the morning. But that was another day and another time. But good gun show this weekend. The best part of any gun show is the people that Teresa and I meet and getting their input. The sales, of course, help make the gun shows possible, but the people are what make it worthwhile. And several young people, a couple of them students here at the University of New Mexico. We were in Las Cruces this weekend, and that are interested in getting into hand loading. The ROTC kids helped all the vendors and everything pack up and everything on Sunday. Volunteered to do it, by the way.
Really?
So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, there is help. There is hope for our youth. We got good examples of that this weekend. And but all in all, it was really nice. Talked to some individuals that had some older handguns and rifles that were looking for some specific ammunition, that decided that reloading might be the best way for them to go to keep ammunition on hand. And a friend of ours that's over in Alamogordo got to share part of the days with us, his first show here in Cruces. And all in all, John, it was real educational. Got to see some classic firearms out there this time around. A lot of lever guns, and that's one of the things I want to talk about today. I did hear part of the show last week, and the gentleman that called in talking about I believe he was talking about the 4570. But, ladies and gentlemen, these old classic cartridges, the 3030, 3040 Craig, the 4570, 45 long Colt, yes, in a rifle, 44 mag in a rifle, even 357 Magnum in a rifle. Most of those rifles that you will find for those calibers are going to be your lever guns and everything. Yes, they can make them in bolt guns and everything else, but you can find those brand new Browning, Marlin, other manufacturers make brand new rifles and everything in their classic lever action rifles that chamber all of those calibers. Now, when I was growing up, one of my favorite things was to have a pistol and a rifle chambered in the same thing. Hence, my Ruger Blackhawk 44 mag and a Marlin 93 back, I think it was the 93, but it was chambered in the 44 mag. My brother had a 357 mag and the same rifle chambered in 357 mag. And it allowed you to have 2 different platforms to shoot from using the same ammunition. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, you hear me talk about the AR platforms, how versatile they are. They're really great in hands that train with them and understand them. And they're basically the... I tell folks that the AR-15 platform or the AR-10 platform, somebody finally developed a Barbie doll for guys, because you can take and accessorize it to the absolute limit on it. Stocks, sights, handguards, grips, everything in the world can be changed on an AR-15 to make it yours. But when you get down to brass tacks, ammunition availability and doing what you want it to do. Now, AR-15 is great out here in the Southwest and everything, where it's wide open country and you can see and shoot for a country mile. Down around East Texas, down in the Ozarks area, back east where there's a lot of timber and most of your shots are going to be 100 yards or in, those lever action rifles, ladies and gentlemen, will outshine an AR any day of the week, for the simple fact that they're designed to carry a heavier bullet at a slower rate, which means less recoil, and have a whole bunch of punch when it gets to the end of where it's going. And the 4570, ladies and gentlemen, and its sisters, you have the 4590, the 45120, the 5140. These are all older guns and everything from the era. A lot of those are in the Sharps platform, but they are very, very capable of shooting well over 600 yards. And your history lesson, or your homework, I should say, before next Monday, is to, and if you don't have your pen and paper ready right now, get it out, because I'll say it again before the show's over. But research Billy Dixon and the Battle of Adobe Walls. In that particular instant, Billy Dixon was a trapper, guide, just all around normal Western guy from the era, 1800s. And the Apaches had attacked both settlers, travelers, and the cavalry at a place called Adobe Walls. And the battle had gone on for a couple of days, and the chief would sit out there on his horse at about 600-700 yards. I've heard different distances in different accounts, but it was well out there to the extreme. And Billy Dixon with a 4590, some people have said it was a 50-90, but there's a little conflict in what he used, but the fact of the matter was he made a single shot and took the chief off the horse. Now, in Indian terminology in battle, as long as the chief is out there, they're going to do good and they're going to win. If the chief falls, everybody leaves because their good medicine has just gone bye-bye. But that's your homework assignment. You can Google Billy Dixon and Battle of Adobe Walls, and there are several accounts. The one that you would look for, well, one of the best ones is, I'm trying to think if it was in the early 80s or 90s, but a group of military guys at Fort Huachuca duplicated the Billy Dixon shot, proving it could be done. And a friend of mine says if you Google Billy Dixon shot Fort Huachuca or military duplicates or whatever, you'll find it. I had it at one time, but that has since gone to the big bit bucket in the sky. But ladies and gentlemen, don't discount these. You'll have your friends and relatives that like the AR platforms, that like the quote-unquote assault rifles, which we all know that they're not. These guns, ladies and gentlemen, are perfectly capable of doing anything you need them to do, from home protection to putting meat on the table. And the very biggest aspect of them is ammunition availability. You can always find 44 Magnum, 357 Magnum ammunition left and right. 4570 is still a very common caliber. You can still find it left and right, all the way with bullets up to 600 grains. And for the most part, for 4570, I recommend shooting the 325 grain jacketed bullets up to the 405 grain. Recoil is not nearly as brutal, and distance is exceeded just a little bit from normal. But I've always had an affinity with lever guns. John, what is your take on that?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, at least for people, young men my age, or men that were my age, and men that were young that are my age now, I should say, we all grew up watching our favorite heroes with lever action Winchesters, usually, in various movies and TV shows. I've only owned one lever action myself, but while we're talking about historical battles, today would be the third day of the Battle of the Alamo, which began February 23rd, 1836, and ended 13 days later, March 6, 1836. They didn't have any cartridge firearms then, but they did an amazing thing, less than 200 men holding off 4,000 Mexicans for 13 days. I think that was pretty spectacular, don't you?
Oh yes, I still remember the John Wayne, the Alamo movie, but the newer one, the one that came out, I guess it was about 6 or 7 years ago.
It's been a bit longer, but right.
Had the one that had Billy Bob Thornton playing Davy Crockett.
Right.
That one is probably the most historically accurate that I have seen, and I'm not saying that it's historically accurate. I've had a couple of history teachers, American history teachers, mind you, from the Southwest that have seen it, that said that it was pretty much the most historically accurate, up to and including the speech that Davy Crockett gives at the end about Santa Anna surrendering. Most people don't realize it, but that was an actual speech that he gave to Santa Anna at the end, and it was reported by one of the Mexican soldiers. It was written down in his diary. And that takes some guts, to be sitting there and only people left in your unit are all dead, and you're the last one standing, and explain to Santa Anna and his 4,000 troops if they will surrender to him, that he'll see that they get justice.
Yes. I've seen, I think there's been probably half a dozen over the past 80 years done movies about the Battle of the Alamo. Another one about the more recent with Billy Bob Thornton was the playing the violin. They actually did do that in the evenings, in the early part of the battle,
Yep. The one thing that they said about Santa Anna was that he was very adept at psychological warfare, and the man was an absolute animal anyway. And here's our break.
It is. We'll be back. Stay tuned, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at the We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 26th of February. I'll be speaking in Dallas, Texas. That will be in March at the Hear the Watchman Conference. If you want to get a discount on the tickets, go to my website at thelibertyman.com. Scroll down to the banner to get a discount on the tickets to attend live, or a different discount if you want to participate in the video conference. Visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Okay, let's continue, Jimmy.
All right, sir. We're talking about lever guns and some of the older platforms and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, the theory in the Old West was, since 90% of them at the time were shooting black powder cartridges, which was your typical brass case, and instead of our modern smokeless powders in it, it was filled with black powder. Hence, when you talked about the 45-70, 45 was the caliber, 70 was the grains of black powder that was in it, and then you had whichever bullet that you put on top. Interesting thing about the black powder cartridges, if it was a 230 grain conical bullet that was loaded into it, or a 500 grain bullet that was loaded into it, basically the full load was still 70 grains. With the bigger, heavier bullets, that was a compressed load, to say the least, and sometimes they drop it back to like 60 grains or something for some of those bullets, depending on the granulation of the black powder. But hence, that's what your numbering comes to on your cartridges back then. My all-time favorite is a 5140 Sharps. That is a 50 caliber bullet with 140 grains of black powder in the cartridge. The whole thing is about 4.5 inches long, and it makes a very unique sound when you slide it into the chamber. It's kind of like ka-shunk, and just an absolute joy to shoot. It's history all over itself, and it was one of the most popular buffalo guns that there were. But, ladies and gentlemen, do not ever discount what we consider, or what some people call, the traditional firearms. There's nothing bad about any firearm if you know how to use it. My dad always used to tell me, beware of the man that owns only one rifle, because he surely knows how to use it. And have found that to be more and more true as I've grown older. I have some young men that have Winchester 73 reproductions. An actual Winchester 73 is a very valuable gun, but they're chambered, instead of the 4440 of the Old West, they're chambered in the 44 mag, and these gentlemen can shoot those things with deadly accuracy out to a couple of 100 yards. And yes, by the time that you get out to a couple of 100 yards, that 44 Magnum bullet is moving quite slow, but it still has an incredible amount of energy behind it, and still very capable of knocking a man down or taking game to put it on the table. And I really right now would like to focus on that keeping food on the table thing for most of you. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we all plan for the worst and pray for the best, but there may come a time that those rifles or those handguns would be the only thing that we have, because there's no food in the stores. If that happens and you're adept with your handguns or your rifles, then your survivability rate goes up exponentially compared to the gangbangers and some of the younger people and everything that simply use a handgun or a rifle for a terrorist weapon, or threatening individuals into giving them their hard-earned cash or car or anything else. But if you've got a nice, say, 357 Magnum Smith or Ruger that you really like, there are numerous rifles out there, modern rifles, on the market that you can buy that are chambered for the exact same cartridge. The beauty of having two guns that shoot the same cartridge is that if you are out looking for game, you've got the rifle and you've got the handgun. Well, if, say, for example, it's coyotes or something like that that are hungry and menacing close in, the handgun is a perfect choice for either dispatching them or scaring them off, saving your ammunition in the rifle for the deer or other game that you might be bringing home. So, combination of having two weapons, same caliber, and not having to confuse things. Another comment, ladies and gentlemen, is some people that own the 357 Magnum or the 44 Magnum rifle there are reloading loads that say for rifle only or for pistol only. My recommendation is to find a good pistol load that works both ways, and we'll finish it up after the break.
There you go. We got a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the Energy Cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 26th day of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. If you scroll down the right side of my homepage there at thelibertyman.com, you'll see the logo for AMSOIL. If you change your oil every 25,000, every 3,000 miles, like you should be, if you're using petroleum oil in your car, well, you're changing your oil, a lot more than me, because I change mine every 25,000 miles with AMSOIL. My Lincoln Town Car just turned over 371,000 miles, by the way. So if you want to keep paying more for your oil changes and getting less lubrication, continue doing what you're doing. If you want to save money and have your motor vehicle last a really long time, then do what I do. Get yourself AMSOIL products for your cars, trucks, motorcycles. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners. I use my energy cleaner every night. I wake up pain-free in the morning. I do my workout, my stretching, my 250 crunches. I'm only doing 50 push-ups at the moment, kind of a low-level workout until it gets a bit warmer. You can also, if you get yourself an energy cleaner, wake up pain-free, ready to hit it again with more energy and no pain. Only $285 shipping included to American zip codes. I do take PayPal. PayPal is the most secure way to make any payment online. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. It's a great combination. I'm shipping out a bunch of energy cleaners and mattress pads today, by the way. For you, those who've been waiting a couple of days, everything gets shipped today. You can place your order right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Or you can call my toll-free order line. That's 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of DesertEagleShooters.com. Jimmy, I think there's some YouTube videos we should prohibit liberals from watching. And the first 15 seconds of the TV show from the 1960s, The Rifleman with Chuck Connors.
Oh, yeah.
If any liberals watch the first 15 seconds of any of those episodes, they'll see him shoot a lever-action rifle 13 times in about 6 or 7 seconds. Liberals don't know what antique firearms can do they?
Oh, no, sir, they don't.
Well, we need to prohibit them. We need to prohibit them from watching the half-century-old Rifleman TV series, because then they'll figure out, oh my goodness, those 130-year-old rifles can shoot just as fast as an AR-15.
Yes, sir. In the right hands, they can. And but it won't do much good because there was a professor. I want to say it was New Jersey. I'm not sure about that. I know it was somewhere back east. He was a history professor, and they were in the process of discussing the Revolutionary War in their class, and he was taking a flintlock pistol, a cased flintlock pistol, to the school to use it as a training aid to show the students what type of firearms and what type of firing mechanism was used in the Civil War, in the Revolutionary War, and was pulled over for some traffic violation. The pistol was in its case in the back seat, and the professor wound up being arrested and the gun confiscated and everything because he broke New Jersey or whatever state it was firearm laws. And you see something like that and you realize just how much liberalism is a mental disorder, as Michael Savage likes to say. And they're out there, and unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's up to us to educate them in the most likely manner that we can and try to maintain our composure and keep from getting frustrated. We did have protesters at this gun show this weekend, but since there was a heavy police presence and everything, they were on their best behavior and talked their talk and allowed the pro side to speak their words without interruption or riot, and then everybody went their way.
But, where was this now? Where was this, Jimmy?
This was here at the gun show in Las Cruces,
really?
New Mexico.
Really? There were protesters at the gun show?
Yep. Well, you have to understand now, Las Cruces is the home. It's the home of New Mexico State University, and
what was their message? What were the protesters trying?
Their message was that no one should have guns, and if we take the guns away, that we will, have less crime and everything else. And I did make it a point to one of the protesters. I said, so that by removing the guns and everything, we'll all be safer. Oh, yes, oh, yes. I says, why don't we try that with making drugs illegal first, and then that way we won't have all of these drug problems and everything.
Right.
And the individual just more or less, a dazed look was the response.
Well, that's expected. That's expected. Jimmy, we got a caller on hold here. We got Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Jimmy. Actually, I have a question about this exact subject. Not about trying to school lefties. I just simply don't have the patience or the time, and I actually don't think I'll ever win. But I did a bunch of research a while back on pistol caliber lever action guns. I was watching, speaking of the rifleman, there was a gal, I used to watch her YouTubes a lot. She's a single action shooter. For the life of me, I can't remember her name, but she's a very pretty young lady. But what she can do with a single action pistol and a lever action rifle and one of those what do you call those older shotguns, like the Remington 1, or what was the
lever action shotgun?
No, they're pump. She's using a pump, but it's the kind of thing you'd see out of that strange Western, which also the name is it the had Ernest Borgnine, and it was a weird thing. It was back around the turn of the century. It was very like in the area of World War I, but it was they were using these very old model pump shotguns. What this gal can do, how quickly she can cycle these things, including holding shotgun shells between her fingers while after she empties out the tube, she continues to single load. And I mean, she's doing it so fast you can barely focus on it. It's just crazy. But having said that, I did a bunch of research regarding the the foot-pounds and CUPs and pressures, and with the more modern lever-action rifles. And some of these enthusiasts, these reloading enthusiasts, mathematically came to the conclusion that it's easily possible to get a 45 long Colt to generate foot-pounds that exceed 44 Magnum, and I'm not sure exactly how or why they're doing that. I guess just as an experiment. But I was going to ask you what you thought about the newer lever-action guns in 45 long Colt, especially if you're going to maybe reload some of your own rounds.
I love them. Any of the new reproductions.
Yeah.
Marlin, Winchester,
right.
Browning, all of them have, and I even think Remington is making one that started making it a couple of years ago, I'm not sure. But all of these lever-action rifles in what we call the pistol calibers are just phenomenal pieces of workmanship. The 45 long Colt is a very unique critter in itself, and it's what they call a square cartridge. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to kind of sound a little odd, but bear with me. The reason the 45 long Colt was called a square cartridge is because the powder and bullet diameter, weight, everything else combined together, it gave a mathematically pure representation of energy. And the reason they called it a square is because the energy of the 45 long Colt remained consistent out to about 50 yards, and then it would start dropping off exponentially, but still at 100 yards maintained more energy than anything else available. And the 45 long Colt is also a misnomer because the 45 Smith, I believe it was the first one to come out, and it was a light frame handgun, really truthfully unsuitable for the cartridge. And Colts came out with the 45 Colt, or as we remember it from the Westerns and everything, the Colt 45. And the case was longer than the 45 Smith, but the 45 Smith just fell into oblivion because the Colt was just a far better round and a far better handgun. And so there is no 45 short out there, and there's no 45 regular out there. The reason they called it the 45 long was simply to distinguish it against the 45 Smith. And it's a really interesting piece of confusing history when you think about it. But the modern firearms, they're just incredibly exceptional pieces of art, and I consider some of them art with the quality of the stocks that they put on them, and real burly. I mean, you get some of the XP versions, which is it has nothing to do with the mechanics of the gun. It's simply the stock, and the XP stands for extra premium, and that refers to the wood in the stock, and they have some burly maple and walnut and stuff in some of those stocks. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And
is that a Marlin designation? Is that a Marlin designation?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, all right.
And from what I was talking to one of the guys, actually I was looking at one of the new ones in 44 mag at the gun show this weekend, and was talking to the guy about it, and he says, well, they've pretty much dropped the XP. They will call it premium, though. And evidently there was a confusion between XP and the XP pistol and a few other things. So they just went to calling it premium. But, ladies and gentlemen, I would not hesitate to own one of these. Henry Repeating Arms, by the way, company that has been around since the mid-1800s, is still in constant full production. And Henry has several of the big bore lever guns and everything, all the way down to 22 caliber long rifle. And they are probably, just for aesthetics, they are probably my favorite of the modern guns. And they're not, the pricing on them, ladies and gentlemen, is not that outrageous.
Well, that actually brings me to the point of the question. The Henry with the octagonal barrel in 45 long Colt, I guess it would be nice. I need to come up with a gift. I guess with a with maybe if you could get that with a decent walnut stock. I'm guessing that would have to be a very functional piece.
Oh,
and what about the octagonal barrel? Do you have any thoughts on the octagonal barrel?
The octagon barrel was simply a necessity when the rifles were being built and they were getting larger calibers and hotter velocities with more powder and stuff like that. It was just a stronger barrel. It also made it very simple for mounting sights on the guns. It was just one of those things that it just followed on. And there are a couple of models, even a Winchester, I want to say it's at 87, very low production gun, and I'm trying to remember the caliber that it was in. It was an off caliber, 3220, I believe. But it had a tapered octagon barrel. It started off about 3/4 of an inch at the receiver and got down to just about maybe half an inch at the muzzle, which added a few new insights to height, front sight height versus rear sight and everything else. But, of course, these guys are smart enough to work it out. But all of these older calibers, ladies and gentlemen, are 100% functional nowadays, and in fact, in some cases, much better. A lever gun with 7, 10, 12 shots in it, depending on the type of magazine it's got, and if you're... Another thing, ladies and gentlemen, when you buy these, just like the AR-15 or any of the other black rifles, you have the lever... Let's go with model 94 Winchester. You can get it in the rifle version, which is a 24 or 26-inch barrel. You can get it in the saddle gun, which is 18-inch barrel, I believe. And you can also get it in the carbine, which is 20 or 22-inch barrel. So different barrel lengths, different combinations of it and everything, but all still using the same ammunition and functioning properly. So, it's like, I think I mentioned it before, John, and it's one of those. I think I've mentioned it to you privately on the phone. One of my favorites when I want to get out and just go shoot, relax, have a good time, and do some serious target shooting. I grab my Browning Model 86, which is chambered in 45-70. We have taken the original premium buttstock off of it and replaced it with just a standard utilitarian one with a decelerator shock pad on it because my shoulder just could not stand the steel butt plate anymore. And I go out and lob 405 and 500 grain bullets downrange and work on my light artillery tactics. It's just an absolute joy to shoot. And in the handguns, ladies and gentlemen, well, you're talking about getting the Henry and 45 Colt. Look at the Cimarron pistols. They're made by Uberti, Italian company. Excellent, excellent handguns, ladies and gentlemen, and rifles. This company is just top shelf all across the board. very reasonable prices on their handguns and everything as well. But they've got the almost perfect reproduction of the .45 Colt, and it's just an exceptional. You can get it in the 5.5 or 7-inch barrel, and the one that I've got has got the 5.5-inch barrel. It was given to Teresa and I as a Christmas present this year, and it's a replica of the Clint Eastwood's "The Man with No Name" gun, the silver snake on the grip and everything else. Just an absolutely gorgeous handgun, and it shoots like a dream. So all these combinations are out there, ladies and gentlemen, and they're perfectly functional, perfectly utilitarian weapons. And don't discount them. Don't let your buddies and everything convince you that, no, you have to have a 30-06 or no, you have to have a 308. If you happen to have one of these older, some people call them antique calibers and stuff. I call them classic because they're still they've weathered the test of time, and they're just as effective today as they were 100 or 150 years ago, and they always will be. Another unique thing about them is they're very easy to reload for, especially if you're using the Lee hand loader, which doesn't require a press. There's so many pluses about it, ladies and gentlemen, that I would think that everybody should have at least one in their arsenal. Hello, are we still there?
Works. Go ahead, Jimmy. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but did that help you out a little bit on your decision there?
Rick, you still with us?
I think Rick may have dropped.
Yeah, Rick dropped. He probably had to get to work. We missed our last break. We got some technical issues going on. Well, I'm a big fan of lever actions. It's a I don't know if it's a uniquely American design, but the lever action rifle is certainly associated with America, isn't it, Jimmy?
Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the rifle itself, meaning the rifled barrel, the lands and grooves which impart the spin on the bullet that make it accurate, is a purely American invention. Pennsylvania gunsmiths back in the mid-1700s, nobody's really sure of the date. They want to say 1750s to 60s, but they noticed that by a rock that was spinning or a ball that was spinning, it was more stable in flight, started experimenting, and eventually developed the ability to rifle a barrel. And I'm going to get some pictures of some of the old rifling machines that they use to make these rifles and get them to Tim. And I want to start a new block on our webpage of just the classic firearms and everything and the techniques that it went to make them, and the innovations that are born strictly here in America. And you know, the American people, ladies and gentlemen, have always been a very industrious, creative people. And for no other reason, ladies and gentlemen, that when the settlers and the people that migrated to the North American continent, to the New World, when they arrived, there was absolutely no limit on what they could do. There was nobody telling them that they could do this and not could do that. And it allowed the creativity to flow because they did not have the big cities that were in Europe. They couldn't just go downtown and buy what they needed. They got very resourceful. And the more resourceful they got, the greater things got in America. And it's just our heritage, ladies and gentlemen. Young people today don't understand that. They aren't taught proper history in most cases. In fact, John, there's getting close to the top of the hour break, I'll give you something I heard on the radio down here at the Cruces show, since we get Texas, El Paso radio. Texas has got a lawsuit on the school book. I'm not sure how they do it down there. I think it's some kind of a board or something that approves the school books. And they've got a lawsuit against them because the history books are teaching either the ones they want to bring in and start with next year, or the ones that are there now. Don't know which. But their history books teach that freeing the slaves was a secondary subject in the Civil War. And
well, it was.
They don't
it
like
was.
that. It
they
was.
Don't like it.
But this organization doesn't like it. They're demanding that that whoever picks out the history books and everything, make sure that is not in there, because it's not correct when it is correct.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's only
real interesting.
Well, you only need to know four things to understand that that's not true. It's four words: Missouri, Kentucky, Delaware, and Maryland.
Mm-hmm. Those slaves were not freed.
That's right. And the Emancipation Proclamation did not free the slaves in those states of the United States. No, if it was only about slavery, all Lincoln had to do was buy the slaves and free them. That's all he needed to do. Well, seriously.
So true, my friend.
That's all
You're
he needed
very correct.
To do. And if it was about slavery, he would have freed the slaves in the United States of America. He did not free the slaves in the United States of America. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free the slaves in the United States of America. It attempted to free slaves in another country where they couldn't.
Yes, sir. Yes,
amazing.
Sir.
Here's our break. Let's stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 26th of February. Purple tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to get all your dental work up to date. If there would be a long-term crisis, it could have disastrous results if your dental work is not squared away. Getting access to modern dental work, dental care during a long-term crisis would be problematic at best, non-existent at worst. So that's your purple tip of the day, getting all your dental work up to date. It's Firearms Monday. Every Monday we have Jim and Ginsling with us, and we talk about firearms, ammunition, optics, legislation, the gun culture, anything and everything to do with firearms. Take your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. All right, Jimmy, let's continue.
All right. As we said the first hour, that our firearms tip of the week was going to be on your training. This week, work on your unorthodox shooting positions, i.e. under things, over things, and flat on your back, but precurse it with running like 25 yards out and then 25 yards back, and then going through your drill. Get the blood going, get that unsteadiness that you can develop with that in that program. Now, last hour, John, we were talking about lever guns and alternative weapons and everything, versus the modern black rifles and the modern sporting rifles and everything. This hour, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to come back to unfortunate reality and talk a bit about this shooting down in Florida and how it's affecting things with the gun culture right now. You may have heard that President Trump is supporting a ban on bump stocks. That is not true. He is everything that I have researched on that, because it took me back just like it did everyone else. I looked into it, and what he is simply saying is, and it shows the wisdom of this man, ladies and gentlemen. The ATF has already rendered a decision on this 5 times over, that it does not make an automatic weapon out of a semi-automatic weapon, and it is considered a novelty, which most people that own one play with it for one day and then look for someone else to buy it, because they realize that all they're doing is wasting ammunition and making a lot of noise and getting a few giggles out of it. That is his statement. He wants ATF to look into it. Well, that satisfied all the libs and everything, because, okay, he's going for a ban on bump stocks.
Right.
There is legislation out there right now to ban bump stocks, but it does not say bump stocks in particular. It says firearms accessories that, I don't have that part of it right in front of me, but basically enhances the rate of fire or the ability of rate of fire on any weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to fight this. Don't let them get any new gun regulations through at all unless it's national reciprocity and the Hearing Protection Act. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the devil is in the details. The wording that they use would mean that you could no longer change out your trigger group on your AR, on your Glocks, on anything if it improves the trigger. The trigger pull, the style of trigger, and the way this is worded, ladies and gentlemen, if I was helping you work on your gun and everything, and I put an ELF trigger assembly in it that's fully adjustable, and you took it home, I would have just broken the law by modifying your gun, and you would have broken the law by allowing me to modify your gun, the way these things are worded.
In addition, it's been more than 20 years ago, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms ruled that a common shoestring that you can get at your local store the machine. The shoestring itself is a machine gun.
Yes.
And they got tired of being
simply application.
It got about 2 years it took about 2 years for them to get tired of being made fun of by everybody in the gun culture, and they finally changed that ruling. But it is true that a common shoestring that you use in your shoes and boots can, on some firearms, basically do the same thing as a bump stock, can it, Jimmy?
Yes, sir. And in fact, I don't even need a shoestring. And you can find this on the internet, several people demonstrating it, by simply hooking your thumb into your belt loop and pulling against the forend of the rifle while holding the pistol grip. You can do the exact same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, anything that in the gun culture that can improve rate of fire does not need mechanical devices. Man has already figured a way around it a long time ago. The one thing that is common to all of them, no matter which practice you decide to try to experiment, shoestring, thumb in the belt loop, bump stock, is yes, you can put a lot of rounds down range. No, you can't hit anything reliably. So, end of story on that. Don't let any of these legislations go through. Concerning the National Reciprocity Act, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a new phone number for you. I was just made aware of both of these new numbers over the weekend. And we always give you the 202-224-3121 phone number to the Capitol switchboard. And most of us have run into the time when we're using that phone number and it's busy and it's busy and it's busy. Well, a new number for you to use is the 202-456-1414, and that one also goes into the Capitol switchboard. Now I'm going to give you a new one, ladies and gentlemen, that I really like that I found. 202-456-1111. that goes into the White House comment line. Right into the White House comment line. And President Trump requires that every message on that be transposed into a written list of the comments for that 24-hour period, and he does review those. That just like he tweets, and just as he reads tweets from other people, including you and me if we decide to tweet. I don't. But that's his finger on the pulse of America. And by using those two numbers, both of those numbers go into the White House. My mistake. Both of those go into the White House. The point being is that if you do call the president's comment line, the most important aspect of it, even more so than talking to our congressmen and getting their answering machines, have what you want to say jotted down first. Take a 3x5 index card or whatever and write it out, preferably 1 or 2 sentences. Be very polite, and the message that I leave is, Mr. President, I appreciate the great job you're doing and everything. However, you're talking about bump stocks. That ruling has already been made. Please check with the ATF. Thank you, sir. And that's all I have to say. And Trump is a wise enough individual that he's going to take those messages and he's going to look at his staff and he's going to, did you look into this? And if they say yes, and here's what the ATF said 30 years ago, and they will go by that standing. So, ladies and gentlemen, our president is a very, very wise individual, and he gets the liberals and the left so flubbered, I guess is a word, that they think that they're making headway, and all they're doing is proving him correct over and over and over again. So, what I'm asking, ladies and gentlemen, is we need to get on the Senate right now. The national reciprocity went through the House 7 months ago, and has been sitting in Congress. With this incident down in Florida, everybody's saying that national reciprocity is dead. The only ones that are saying that, though, is the mainstream media and the libs. We need to get on Congress and get on the Senate in particular and get this bill on the floor for a vote. And the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm stressing, and I have already, unfortunately, New Mexico has 2 Democrat senators, and both of them are just detestable, in my opinion. But I'm hammering them, and I'm also hammering leadership, that the Dems use the nuclear option almost the entire time for the Obama administration. The nuclear option, ladies and gentlemen, means that they simply put everything down to a simple floor vote. 51 votes gets it. They don't have to have the 60 votes or whatever it is that they've got to have to do this or that. They used the nuclear option because they knew that the Republicans were not going to vote with them. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to do that exact same thing right now. We need to hammer them to simply go with the nuclear option on voting on it, get the national reciprocity bill up there, get it voted on, and get it out there. Trump has already said he'll sign it as soon as he hits his desk. And these things are staring us in the face, ladies and gentlemen. With this last incident, the more that I am learning about that sheriff down there, John, the more I am getting angry. Going to that for a moment, we've all heard that the sheriff's department visited that house, I think they said 26 times in the last several years or whatever. That is wrong. No, they said 22 times. They sent deputies to the house. I'm looking at the news deal right now. They'd sent the deputies there 22 times on calls. That is not correct. In the last 4 years, they have sent deputies there 45 times, and 22 of those 45 times were where the young man, Cruz, was threatening violence or had done something, thrown something through the window, or the worst one was when his mother took away his PlayStation and everything because he was a bad boy. He started destroying the house and said he was going to kill her. Deputies show up, talk to the mom, talk to the kid, leave, didn't do anything. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, the sheriff there is a Hillary Clinton supporter.
Well, I'm shocked.
He's given several jobs to friends and family.
Reports I saw, I think around Friday or Saturday, is that not there was actually 4 deputies that responded. One initially, the school resource officer who did not go inside, and then 3 more that responded and did not immediately go inside the school while the shooting was taking place. Have you heard that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I have. And the part that I am trying to cover right now, my friend Gene, who lives in Florida, got an email from him, and what they're hearing on the local level down there was that the first officer didn't go, the one that quit. I'd really like to talk to him, but he was given a stand-down order to wait for reinforcements.
If that's true, there's some serious liability. I went through active shooter training with the FBI about a year and a half ago, and the current protocols is you just run inside and take them out. That's the current FBI protocols to deal with an active shooter in a school or a church. We got a caller on hold here. We got Scott in Arizona. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. Go back to your last hour talking about the guns. Those lever actions and that, you don't need a jacketed bullet, so you can, because they're slower. And right, then you can always melt that. You can also melt your silver and gold down and make your silver bullet if you have to.
I don't think I would go that far.
Well, you never know. And the lever, that shotgun is I believe it'd be a Winchester 12. That guy was talking about.
Most likely.
And on the riflemen, I read an article on that, and they had a screw in the handle that would hit the trigger.
In the lever. A screw in the lever. Right, a screw in the lever.
In the lever
right.
That hit the trigger. That's how you can do it so fast. So I guess they better outlaw screws now. And they got a bump lever action.
Well,
I imagine that'd be kind of dangerous to have.
Well, we need to make sure liberals don't watch the first 15 seconds. It was a lot of episodes there, and 168 episodes. And the first 15 seconds is where he shoots that lever action rifle as fast as an AR can be shot. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Actually, there was a toy version of that rifle that was made by Daisy. It was a BB gun, but in that particular model, there was a little. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It folded against the lever.
A second lever against the main lever.
We got a break. I can think on it for a moment.
All right, goodbye. I'm going.
Okay, thank you, Scott. We'll have a break. We'll call numbers 800-313-9443. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 26th of February. The month is quickly getting away from us, isn't it? It'll be March here at the end of the week. This coming March, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, I will be down in Dallas, Texas. I will be the keynote speaker at the Hear the Watchman conference. It's quite a collection of speakers. You probably know many of them. Lisa Haven, for example, a number of others. It'll be a great event. I am the keynote speaker. If you want to get a discount ticket, go to my website, libertyman.com, for your discount ticket to be there in person. If you can't be there in person, get a discount ticket for the video presentation that will be broadcast live. We're visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Well, Jimmy, I reached my own conclusion as to what to call that mechanism. What's yours?
Well, I can see the mechanism. It's a small piece of metal that folds against the stock. It wraps around on both sides of the stock. It's on a little hinge. And when you fold it out and you bring the lever up, it captures just the end of the trigger and pulls the trigger as it's coming up the rest of the way.
Right. I would call it a lever. I would call it a lever. A lever on a lever.
A lever on a lever works good for me. I'll take that answer any day of the week. And but yeah, it was quite the piece. We were talking about the legal parts and everything coming in here. Ladies and gentlemen, on that calling the White House, there's another thing that you can put out there, and President Trump just totally took everybody off guard when he said this, and it actually went over a lot of people's heads and they missed it. But he is calling for an end to gun-free zones.
He is.
And
he is.
The marvelous thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, that you call that White House number and tell him, President Trump, I fully agree with you and fully support the ending of gun-free zones. By the way, I'm a veteran. I will volunteer my time to help guard our children. There's been a lot of those messages that have shown up there. But ladies and gentlemen, support this. By ending the gun-free zones, then these guys have got to guess whether or not there's somebody armed in there. Very good analogy that I heard over the weekend. A burglar is standing there in the bushes, and there's this nice hedgerow that runs between two houses. And he's trying to decide which house he's going to break into. Now, it's already determined he is going to break into a house that night. He's just trying to decide which house he's going to break into. The house on the right has got a sign that says, this is a gun-free zone. And the house on the left has got a sign in front that says, nothing in here is worth dying for. which house do you think he's going to take?
Well, first of all,
It's a
yeah, you have to. There's a small leap in logic that you have to make the leap in logic that the burglar can read the English language.
true.
But assuming he can read and comprehend the English language, of course he's going to go to the place that's less likely to cause him harm on the right.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, there are a couple of other. You can tell that President Trump has got some very good advisors with him, because when he first made that comment last week during the listening deals, first with the students and then with the second day, I think, was with teachers and law enforcement, he made that statement a couple of times about ending gun-free zones. And on the second day, that when he was talking to the teachers or the, I think it was teachers and law enforcement on the second day, he made that statement again, but he added to it. And his statement was this: end the gun-free zones, or those that insist on having them have to provide security for who's there. So that right there dropped right into the liberals' laps, went right over most of their heads. They didn't catch it. Now, on the weekend and some of the shows, I understand, since I did not have the opportunity to watch, nor have I ever, there were a couple of the weekend talking heads and interviewing some of these people that brought that up, and they said that they were quite astonished because they didn't hear the second. You know, they heard the first part about ending the gun-free zones, and they were totally against that, blah, 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 this and that and everything else. And then when they asked him, well, what about his statement of if they do have a gun-free zone, they have to provide security, the people were just flabbergasted. They missed that part of the comment, and they couldn't answer. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the liberals on the ropes right now because they've used up all of their arguments, and they've lost on every argument. And this is not the time for anybody to sit back on their laurels and relax. We need to get on Connolly and demand that they get national reciprocity and the Hearing Protection Act up there for a vote. And to go with the nuclear option on all of these appointments, and we've got a bottom break.
Hold that thought, Jimmy. We got a break.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 26th of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We have a special program that you can participate in privately at my website, Field Training Exercise, USS Liberty, December 31st, 2018. Everybody's asking for a date. I've been in talk radio now for more than 20 years. People want to know, John, when's it going to happen? Well, you get to pick your own scenario. I already picked a date for you. We have 5 different scenarios there, ranging from violent earth changes to EMP to World War III, and the date is December 31st, 2018. So that's not too far off. Only about 10 months away, and you get to pick your scenario and start getting ready for it. And when we get to December 31st this year, we'll pick a new date, probably December 31st, 2019. It's just a way of motivating people. Also, at my website, of course, you'll find energy cleaners for sale. This is my home business. I use mine every night. I wake up pain-free in the morning with plenty of energy, having had a great night's sleep. What are you waiting for? You hear me talk about this twice an hour, twice a show, I should say, at the bottom of each hour. And you're sitting there thinking, boy, I'm not getting a great night's sleep. I wake up with some pains, aches and pains in the morning. Well, what are you waiting for? Get yourself an energy cleaner. I have a 90-day money-back guarantee, so you're risking nothing. It's only $285, shipping included, the mattress pads that go with it. They vary in price depending on what you want to get. You can make your choice, make your selection right there at my website, and make your purchase at thelibertyman.com. I do take PayPal. PayPal is the most secure way to make any payment online, MasterCard, Visa, and you can send me a check if you need to. That's fine. Money order, same way. I also have a toll-free order line. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. This is Firearms Monday. We talk about anything and everything to do with firearms, the firearms themselves, ammunition, optics, shooting techniques, training, of course, the gun culture, legislation. Our guest every Monday to talk about firearms is Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Let's continue, Jimmy.
All right, sir. Speaking of our webpage on there, the contact portion of that seems to be back to working, and I'm not getting quite as many spam hits on it. I have one individual down in West Texas that we'll be talking to on helping him learn to shoot his VMG 50 at extended ranges, and working with a couple of other individuals on getting some firearms and everything straightened out and working better. But a new, this hour we're kind of talking the political aspect of it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if anyone in our listening audience saw the CNN quote-unquote town hall, but the young lady from NRA was absolutely savaged in that incident, and now several of the companies that have sponsored NRA for years with discounts to NRA members, and actually even their NRA credit card, are pulling their support for NRA. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you and I both know that the easiest way to get someone to think about what they're doing is to hit them in the pocketbook. These companies that I'm about to list off are pulling their advertising, pulling their support, and no longer giving discounts that they've given for 30 years or more to NRA members. And you're going to be a little surprised on some of them. One of them is Enterprise Rent-A-Car. The one that really needs to be hit is First National Bank of Omaha. Well, none of us think about dealing with First National Bank of Omaha, but then again, First National Bank of Omaha is the one that issues the NRA Visa card. So
they no longer. They no longer.
Yeah, or did. So find out where your credit card is from, and if it's from them, you can always request a different bank. Even your local banks can do your credit card for you. Avis Rent-A-Car, Allied Van Lines, Budget Rent-A-Car, Chubb. I don't know what a Chubb is, but they're pulling their support.
Chubb Group. It's a big financial group. Well, Jimmy, the national headquarters for enterprises in my hometown, St. Louis. In fact, my my office in Clayton, Missouri, was basically a short walk from their national headquarters. And I'm sorry to see that. I'm sorry that they've done that. The word, talking to the people at the local enterprise office, they're just young men and women doing their job. But the word needs to get through to the board of directors that this was a huge mistake, and it will cost them. That's the two things that need to happen.
Yes, sir. And one way, and I heard one of the guys at the gun show, we were discussing this. He had an excellent retort on it. He called, I can't remember which one he said he used. I think it was Enterprise is the one that he used quite often when he flew. And he called them and told them that he was since they dropped their support for NRA, he was going to drop his support for him. And every time that he landed in a new city for business, he was going to call Uber. And don't know if it went anywhere, but that's definitely a way to deal with them. Delta Airlines has dropped their support. Hertz Rent-A-Car, MetLife, North American Van Lines, TrueCar. The next one's going to hurt because I've used them for years. Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, their veterans discount card and everything does help save some money and everything, but it's going to hurt. Now, Semantic and United Airlines. Ladies and gentlemen, all of these companies have pulled their support, pulled their advertising, and no longer giving the discounts that they once did for NRA members. So we need to voice our disapproval to them and let them know that what they've done is going to hurt them worse than my bride in the back goes, stupid. I'm like, yeah, you can't fix stupid sometimes. But that's where we're at right now, ladies and gentlemen. This whole Florida thing has lit off everything on the anti-gun left. And the fact of the matter is they're, pun intended, shooting themselves in the foot because they're getting these kids and filling them with lies, coaching them on the questions they want asked at news conferences and town halls that are not town halls and such. And ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to stack the deck in their favor as they always do. But it's really, really good. I've seen Jesse Waters on Fox News, did a couple of segments on it. And and after these kids had spoken everything, he asked them, well, what do you think about, he says, what would you have thought if that football coach would have been a concealed carrier and while shielding his students and everything had shot the perpetrator 3 or 4 times? And, my wife is giving me some more notes here. The kids didn't have an answer. And he asked them point blank, do you think advertising that your school is a gun-free zone had any reason, to promote crews coming in there and doing what he did, knowing that no one was going to be armed? And the note that Teresa just gave me here on that, John, one of the things that they're looking at in the background check is mental illness. Now, the danger point on that, ladies and gentlemen, is what are they going to use as a standard of mental illness? And that's a question that I've asked several people. What is the standard you're going to use? Because if it's simply by word of mouth, that guy's crazy, they can't use that, but they're going to. Someone, a couple of states right now.
Jimmy, I need to interrupt you here.
Yes,
here is the standard. Here is the standard. If there's an allegation that there's a mental illness or disease, there has to be a hearing in front of a judge where the person being accused of the mental illness or defect is represented by legal counsel. That's what has. That's the legal definition. Now and of course the judge, it's typically in front of a judge, not a jury. The judge would listen to the arguments of the prosecutor and the arguments of the defense counsel, and then make a decision, which would be, of course, an appealable decision. So it's a high standard. It's not like the days of the Soviet Union where all that was necessary was the accusation and you go off to the gulag. That's not the way it works here in this country. It's a standard that has checks and balances that works pretty much all the time, in my opinion, based on what I've seen.
Yep. Yes, sir. That is the standard, and that's the point I was getting to, is there are some states right now that by the mere accusation that someone is unstable, that then they've got it written into their local laws. I'm trying to remember. One of them is up north. I want to say it's something like Michigan or something. Maybe one of our callers can clarify it for me. But a wife goes in and says that her husband is crazy and everything, and he's threatened her and threatened the kids and threatened to shoot up the football stadium, when, in fact, the only thing the guy was doing was complaining about legal, the politicians or whatever. The police can go in, take all of his guns and everything, and within a week, he has to go before a judge and plead his case. Not being allowed to have legal counsel. Now, this one has already been shut down, and there's been several lawsuits on it and everything else. And the thing is the judge is the one that they're going after on it, because he's allowing it, instead of throwing it out immediately, he's allowing it to proceed. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have got to make absolutely 100% sure, positive, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that if someone's rights are removed because of mental defect, that it is a diagnosable and treatable, or however they want to word that, defect that can cause harm to other people. It has been rumored that people that are claustrophobic, well, that's a mental defect and they can't own guns. People that are afraid of heights have a mental defect and they can't own guns. That's how crazy these liberals want to make this, but what we've got to do is shove it back in their face and make them prove everything. It's got to be based on proof, ladies and gentlemen, and not assumption and not accusation. And that's where the left likes to go. And the only way that we can prevent this, ladies and gentlemen, is that we all have to voice our concern and our disapproval of it. Just to give you a bit of insight, an old writing goes, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard several say that it is when they came for the gypsies, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a gypsy. When they came for the Jews, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Jew. When they came for me, there was no one to speak up. And that's the exact situation that we are in right now, ladies and gentlemen. We've been quiet too long. There have been too many of us out there that, between us sitting over coffee, will voice hard-hitting opinions and, more importantly, offer solutions. That's the one thing that the libs will not and cannot do. They will tell you what all the problems are, but when you get them pinned down to give you a solution for it, they can't, and they won't, because they don't want to be responsible for anything. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have got to step out there, and we have got to get in their face. That's one thing I love about our president. Anybody that can wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and tweet that how beautiful the sunrise is in Washington, D.C., hope others enjoy it, and kick off half of the U.S. population is my kind of guy.
I agree.
And that's just what we've got to do, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to stop sitting back and letting others dictate our life. When we were in school, ladies and gentlemen, and our football team was on the field and they were down by 8 points, did all of you and the other fans just sit there and hope that they would get better? Did you hope that they would come up with a strategy to defeat the other team? No. You stood up, you yelled, you cheered, you gave as much encouragement to those people on the field as you could verbally. You couldn't get down there and you couldn't lift them up and carry them or do anything else, but you gave them the verbal support, and it worked. Your team, your home team pulled it out in the last few seconds with a winning touchdown or a field goal or whatever it was to win the game. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be doing the cheerleading for our congressmen and our senators that are doing the right job. We've got to be on the phone to these people. We've got to let them know when they're doing good. We'll all jump on them when they're doing bad. I'm right in that boat with every single one of you. When my congressmen and senators do something that I think is stupid, I'm one of the first ones to call them. But I also call them when they do something good, especially when they do something good, because they never hear that. And if enough of us keep calling and keep building them up, and I tell Conley when I leave messages for him, I believe in you, sir. I support you. I know you can do this. Stop listening to the naysayers. Get the job done. We're behind you. And as long as they know that we're behind them, willing to stand in front of them if necessary to protect them, then things will get done.
Absolutely. Jimmy, hold on. We have our last break here. Jimmy, hold on. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 26th of February, visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's deserteagleshooters.com. Jimmy, before you get away, I want you to give a quick Reader's Digest version of the Oops kits and how you will help people get them put together for their rifle, shotgun, or pistol if they want one for their rifle, shotgun, or pistol.
Yes,
Jimmy.
sir. On the Oops kits, what an Oops kit is it contains the common springs and pins, other items that typically either wear out or can get lost very easily when you're cleaning a gun or tearing it down to make some serious repairs or something on it. And we've got several of those in stock right now for the AR platform, minor Oops kits, and then some more extensive ones that actually have bolt parts and things. And then I also make up a couple of Oops kits that I call the exceptional ones that have spare bolt and spare firing pin for the AR platforms. And costs range anywhere from $20 up to about $150 for the one that has a spare bolt and firing pin and stuff. On your lever guns, your handguns, your Glocks, your Colts, and everything, there are a few springs on there that really seriously people don't even think about. And one of them is the firing pin spring. They do wear out over time, and they can cause misfires or double fires if they've weakened enough. And if you can just drop me an email at jimi@hdc-nm.com or text me a message to 575-513-2842, I'll get back with you, find out what model of handgun or rifle that you've got, and we can put together an Oops kit. And highly recommend these, ladies and gentlemen, because the time that you're going to need it most of the time is out in the field. And if you're out there and something does malfunction, then you've got to fix it right there, or all you're going to have is a nice, very, very pretty club to beat something with. So just, drop us a note, either on the phone or to the email. You can use the contact on the webpage, DesertEagleShooters.com, and we'll get back with you. Like I said, it's working now. I'm not getting quite so much spam on there. And we'll just help you have these around, because if you don't have one and that one spring that makes everything work fails or breaks, then you no longer have a functioning weapon, ladies and gentlemen. You've got either a dust collector or a club.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as I frequently say, a $3 spring or firing pin now is easy to get. Simply contact Jimmy Ginsling at DesertEagleShooters.com. In the future, however, during any kind of crisis, good luck. I know metal fabricators, and fabricating a spring is not easy.
No.
Okay. Jimmy, thank you, sir. We'll have you back next Monday.
Thank you, sir. Everybody have a great weekend, or week.
Thank you, Jimmy. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, energy, cleaning, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms, ammunition, ever give up your guns. Have a fun, safe, productive day, and God bless America.